Developing right now on Morning News Now, devastation across the South in the wake of Hurricane Helene. This morning, dozens of people are dead, communities underwater, and millions are without power days after Helene made landfall as a catastrophic Category 4 storm.
Seeing it in person is kind of just breathtaking. Yeah. What Mother Nature can do and the damage is just, it's incredible.
We have team coverage with the latest on the recovery efforts, and the threat isn't over. We're tracking Helene as what's left of the system moves over the mid-Atlantic. Also this morning, a battleground blitz just 5 weeks to the presidential election, and a new NBC News poll shows Vice President Harris leading former President Trump among a key group of voters. And money on voters' minds, more proof that the state of America's economy could be the deciding factor come November. Plus, contamination concerns. This morning, thousands of people ordered to evacuate as crews work to put out a fire at a chemical plant. We'll bring you the latest. And history in space as a SpaceX crew arrives at the International Space Station to rescue 2 astronauts stranded there since June. More on the mission to bring them home after 8 months when it was supposed to be 8 days.
It has been a long journey for them. I'm sure whenever it happens, they're looking forward to getting back here. We can't wait to greet them. Good to have you with us on a Monday morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We start this morning with wide-scale destruction across the southeast caused by Hurricane Helene. Entire communities in the Carolinas were washed away by powerful floods, which destroyed homes and roads, cutting towns off from the outside world and cutting off from aid.
Okay, home. I haven't seen my kids. I'm tired. I'm hungry. Still have no power.
Lines for basic essentials are stretching for miles, with people saying they have to wait several hours for things like gas and water. Now, more than 3,200 federal emergency workers from agencies like FEMA are in the region trying to get help, get people those basic needs. In Florida, where the storm first made landfall on Thursday, some communities are slowly starting to return to some sense of normalcy, with schools and roads set to reopen this morning. Meteorologist Michelle Grossman is standing by with a look at the forecast, which does include some bad news for those places cleaning up from these historic floods. But first, let's begin with NBC News correspondent Jay Gray, who's in Boone, North Carolina, with the latest.
Hey there, good morning. In Boone, like so many areas in Helene's path, caked in mud, dealing with downed power lines and debris that's scattered everywhere.
Miles of debris stretches across Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, and the Carolinas. Helene chewing up and spitting out huge sections of the southeast.
It looks like a movie. It doesn't even look real. It looks like somebody took the road, looks like Play-Doh, and just like threw it to the side. So the damage is astronomical.
And continuing to unfold, floodwaters washing away entire communities. The violent storm and now its aftermath, responsible for more than 60 deaths. Teams on the water and in the air searching for more than 100 people still missing, including Guadalupe Hernandez Corona's sister. Through a translator, she shares their last heart-wrenching phone call.
Her sister called her family to say goodbye because they knew they weren't going to make it. So they were able to call them and talk to them. She talked to her kids. Her sister, Monica, is her sister, talked to her kids and was able to say her goodbyes.
In many areas, floodwaters are still raging, still ripping apart anything in their path.
Conditions on the ground remain extremely dangerous. Roadways are damaged, there are downed power lines and unstable ground.
A mudslide taking out several miles of Interstate 40, hundreds of roads washed out, turning towns into islands without power, gas, or water, and no idea how or when they'll get it back.
So many here dealing with so much loss and unsure of what comes next, and they're not getting any help from the forecast with the possibility of more rain over the next few days. In Boone, North Carolina, I'm Jay Gray. Back to you now.
All right, Jay, thank you.
Now let's get a closer look with NBC meteorologist Michelle Grossman.
She's tracking what's left of Helene across the mid-Atlantic. Michelle, good morning.
Good morning, guys. And yeah, we are still talking about the remains of Helene, not off the coast until tomorrow. So still we're looking for the heavy threat for rain today. Could see some flooding potential, some flash flooding potentials because the grounds are so saturated. The rivers, the streams are so swollen. This is what radar looks like right now. On a 6-hour loop, you can see those heavy returns. That's those brighter returns showing us where that heavy rainfall is falling. And this is going to be the story as we go throughout the day. So the mid-Atlantic still seeing those scattered showers. This rain stretches all the way back to the Ohio Valley through the state of Pennsylvania, West Virginia and Virginia. And again, we will see pockets of heavy rain. Could see up to 2 inches in some spots. Doesn't sound like a whole lot, but really we don't need any in these areas. So I overlaid the alerts here. We do have a flood alert that includes Charlottesville, also Blackstone, back into Elkins, West Virginia. Where you see this green, that is where we're seeing that flood alert. And we did see flash flood warnings overnight into early this morning, and most likely we will see that as we go throughout the day here. So the flash flood risk is in effect, especially where you see this blue shading. That's the likeliest spot for seeing some flash flooding. Charlottesville, you're included in that, but notice this green outline as well down to Boone, Roanoke, Morgantown, Hagerstown. Also DC could see some flash flooding as well. We have a lot of humidity in the air. Any of these rain showers could cause some flash flooding. This is why. Could see a 1/4 inch. That's where you're seeing those lighter greens. The darker green is a 1/2 inch. But then as we get towards those darker colors, the reds, the oranges, the yellows, could see an inch and a half, up to 2 inches in some spots. And that includes Virginia and also parts of West Virginia. This is why. This is the remains of Helene. Can't believe we're still talking about this days later, just lingering in the mid-Atlantic. So those alerts will continue, but then finally we're going to see it move offshore tomorrow. Better relief, more relief, a little few scattered showers still left over tomorrow. But then we're watching a cold front that's going to bring some rain into the area as we head towards Wednesday and Thursday. That's something we'll watch later on in the week. That's one big story today. Another big story is in the West. Record heat for September, almost October. We're into the triple digits in some spots. Record heat, dangerous heat, and also dry and windy in portions of the northern plains. That's going to bring the chance for some fire danger as well. 24 million people impacted by heat alerts this morning. We're looking at heat advisories, heat warnings. The hot pink, that's a heat warning. And this is through Wednesday notice. So it's not just today, it's over the next several days. And they've been dealing with this for days. San Francisco down to Los Angeles, Palm Springs, Phoenix, Las Vegas. You're under the gun for some dangerous heat. Look at the numbers. Temperatures into the triple digits. Wow. San Jose, I know, 100 degrees. The record there is 97, 100 in Palmdale. This is dangerous because we're nearing October. This is very late in the season. You get that heat fatigue. And we're looking at Phoenix, 111 today. The record there is 107. That is on your Monday. Tomorrow on Tuesday, 101 in Reading. The record there is 103. So the record-breaking temperatures will continue tomorrow. Lancaster, 104. San Jose, 100 degrees. Las Vegas, 102. The record there is 100 and 109 in Yuma. This extends all the way to portions of the Central Plains as well because we're looking at temperatures well above normal for this time of year. Anywhere from 10, even 20 degrees above normal for this time of year. Then we're nearing Thursday and Friday, still talking about dangerous heat in Fresno, 102 on Thursday. By Friday, 99 Las Vegas, into the triple digits still Thursday and Friday. Same story in Tucson. I mentioned those dry and windy conditions. We're looking at some fire danger in the northern plains into the central plains. 3 million people impacted. So you want to be weather aware in those areas as you head out on this Tuesday. Let's talk about the tropics. Unfortunately, we're very, very active. We're talking about a couple systems, some disturbances as well. And we could see some spots that were affected by Helene possibly being impacted later on this week into the weekend. So we'll talk about that more later. But we do have that tropical disturbance off to the west in portions of the Caribbean. That's going to move into the Gulf of Mexico. That's one we're going to watch. We're looking at Tropical Depression Joyce, Tropical Depression 12. That's most likely becoming a hurricane. And this is the one that we're going to watch as we head throughout the next couple of days, because this could develop into a tropical system by the middle of the week, and this could impact portions of this country that was impacted by Helene last week and continues to be this week. Tropical Depression 12, real quick, 35 miles per hour, could become a hurricane. This one most likely will stay over in the open water, so we'll keep our fingers crossed on that one. But we'll keep you posted on that other one.
Just a reminder, hurricane season far from over.
I know.
All right.
It's in full effect.
Michelle, thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
With just over 1 month until the election, both candidates are ramping up their efforts to win over voters in the battleground states. Vice President Harris campaigned in Nevada over the weekend and picked up a somewhat surprising endorsement from former Republican Senator from Arizona, Jeff Flake.
Meanwhile, this morning, former President Trump is getting pushback from even within his own party over personal attacks he launched against Harris at a rally in Pennsylvania on Sunday. Let's listen.
Kamala is mentally impaired. Joe Biden became mentally impaired. Kamala was born that way. Okay. She was born that way. And if you think about it, only a mentally disabled person could have allowed this to happen to our country. Anybody would know this.
For more, we're joined now by NBC News White House correspondent Ali Rafa. Ali, good morning. So in addition to those comments, Mr. Trump also said Vice President Harris should be, quote, impeached and prosecuted for her actions related to the U.S. southern border. How are the Harris campaign and others just reacting to these latest comments?
Yeah, guys, good morning. That extreme rhetoric from former President Trump, as you heard, continuing over the weekend, and he really doubled down on these personal insults on Vice President Harris, as you mentioned, calling her, quote, mentally impaired, saying she should, quote, be impeached and prosecuted for her actions on the border, which she visited last week for the first time in over 3 years. And yesterday, those attacks were really doubled down at his rally in Wisconsin. And while the Harris campaign, at least for now, is choosing not to publicly react to this, we are seeing members of the former president's own party condemned these comments by him, some of them saying in the past that they wish he would move on to policy and his goals if elected for a second term. We heard from Senator Lindsey Graham, a longtime ally and friend of former President Trump, saying that he thinks, quote, the better course to take is to prosecute the case, that her policies are destroying the country. We also heard from GOP Senate candidate and former Maryland Governor Larry Hogan, who said that Trump's comments were, quote, insulting not only to the vice president, but to people that actually do have mental disabilities, guys.
Ali, also, we understand that both candidates are moving around their campaign plans, their schedules in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. Tell us what we'll see from both Mr. Trump as well as Vice President Harris.
Yeah, we're already seeing what impact Hurricane Helene has on the 2024 campaign trail, not only because several of the states very hardly hit by this storm are several key swing states, but we're seeing schedule-wise how this is making an impact. We know that former President Trump is going to go to Valdosta, Georgia later today. He's going to be briefed on the storm damage there and then deliver remarks. And for Vice President Harris, this storm damage is really cutting her trip to Nevada short. She was scheduled to campaign in Las Vegas today. The the Harris campaign saying late last night that that trip will be cut short for Vice President Harris to be able to return to Washington, D.C. to get a briefing from FEMA officials to really review what sort of federal resources are still available to be added to the ones already allotted in this emergency response. And we did hear from the White House as well yesterday say that President Biden is going to go to areas impacted by the storm as soon as it's an option to not be able to pull resources that are so critical and being used at this point during recovery efforts, guys.
Ali, looking ahead tomorrow night, Governor Tim Walz, Senator J.D. Vance are going to go head-to-head in their first and their only vice presidential debate. Unlike the last debate we saw between Mr. Trump and VP Harris, the rules are going to look a little different this time around. So tell us what we can expect and just how both candidates are getting ready.
Yeah, so historically, these vice presidential debates haven't been enough to really move the needle. But of course, as we know, this election being so close, anything could make a difference on the debate stage. And this could be the last word that we hear from both of these campaigns on a national stage, given that this is the last publicly announced debate before the election. So this could really be a big political moment. Governor Walz and Senator Vance are going to face off for 90 minutes tomorrow night in New York City. This is going to be a debate hosted by CBS News. And what's different this time around is that the moderators aren't going to be fact-checking these two candidates in real time, with CBS saying that it's up to the two of them to fact-check each other. Now, as far as preps, we know that Senator Vance is using both his wife as well as Congressman Tom Emmer to play Governor Walz on the debate stage. Governor Walz, for his part, using Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg to play Vance. And this is going to be a big moment for Governor Walz, as this is really going to be the last time we saw him on a national stage in a big capacity was on the stage at the Democratic National Convention. So this will be a big moment for the Harris campaign as well.
Yeah, certainly such a tight race. Every moment like this matters. All right, Ali Rafa, thank you so much.
Well, this morning we are also getting new insight into one of the key demographics in the upcoming election.
Yeah, a new poll from NBC News, CNBC, and Telemundo shows that Vice President Harris has a significant lead over former President Trump among Latino voters. The larger context here is that the wide advantage Democrats have enjoyed with Latino voters has been slipping away in recent years. As you can see, that support is now at its lowest level in the last 4 presidential cycles.
Here to help us understand that and that new poll that we've got out from NBC News, we have senior political editor Mark Murray. Mark, thanks so much for joining us as always. So on its face, I mean, it seems like pretty good news for Democrats. The poll shows Harris leading Trump nationally among Latinos 54% to 40%. But as Joe just mentioned, those margins are slipping. So are Democrats losing these Latino voters, or are the Republicans gaining them? What can we glean from this?
Yeah, Savannah, maybe the answer is a little bit of both. And you're exactly right. You know, the Democratic advantage that we ended up seeing at the presidential and also on congressional ballots was about 30 to 40 point leads going back to 2012. But now all of a sudden you end up having Harris with just a 14-point lead. Democrats only have a 12-point lead when it comes to the congressional ballot. And a lot of this is just due to how divided we are as a country. That, you know, you have Latino men versus Latinas. You end up having college-educated Latinos versus those without college degrees. And those divisions, I think, are making this race a whole lot closer than we ended up seeing a decade ago.
Yeah, so Mark, I mean, the poll also looked at how Latinos felt about VP Harris and Mr. Trump when it came to some of the hot button issues this election, which maybe helps us understand what's been going on in recent years. What did it find?
Joe, it has Harris with the advantage on abortion, just like she leads with the general electorate. It has her with an advantage when it comes to temperament and also being competent and effective. But Donald Trump ends up leading when it comes to the economy and on inflation and on the border. And it is worth noting that inflation as well as the economy are the top issues for Latino voters in our poll.
You mentioned the border. The poll found a striking split on immigration. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so our poll ended up finding 35% of Latinos saying that immigration hurts more than it helps. We've asked this question going back to 2006, and that 35% is the highest we've ever had for Latino voters. Also, we asked, do you prioritize more, enforcement of the border as well as a pathway to citizenship and treating immigrants humanely? And the Latino voters in our poll were almost exactly split down the middle on that question.
And Mark, you touched on this. This poll found Latino support varies widely by gender, also by religion. Tell us more.
Yeah, so by gender, Latino men are tied between Trump and Harris, 47 each, while Harris has a 26-point lead when it comes to Latino women. And then on religion, Joe, we ended up finding Harris with big leads among Catholic Latinos, as well as Latinos who aren't religious at all. But when it comes to evangelical Latinos, it's Donald Trump with a significant advantage. And again, all the splits that we're talking about are the splits that we're seeing with the general electorate at large. And I think that that is the biggest takeaway from our poll.
Mark Murray, thank you so much.
Now, as that poll illustrated, the issue that tops the list of concerns for most voters this year is the economy. How voters feel about it and how either candidate would handle it could be the deciding factor in who wins the White House. That's why NBC News Now anchor Hallie Jackson traveled to eastern North Carolina to find out how they feel about the economy.
Hey there, we know this election season that voters have said over and over again that their biggest concern ahead of November is the economy. How voters feel about the economy could be the deciding factor in who wins the White House in November. So last week, we headed to North Carolina along the coast to ask voters in their own words how they feel the economy's doing. Hi, ladies. In this key swing county. We're with NBC News. Nice and big right here. In battleground North Carolina, there's no right answer, there's no wrong answer. We showed up with a whiteboard and a question. But how would you fill this in? What do you think, sir? The economy is? First word that comes to mind, just nice and big right there.
I don't think I'm allowed to write that word.
And we heard plenty
Pathetic.
Hard. I think doing okay.
From terrible to getting better.
I think it's strong. I mean, the whole economy is not just consumer prices.
No, it's not, that person says. From struggling.
Real people are feeling much more pain than what the 401ks or the IRAs might be showing.
To booming.
I feel like money's flowing, people are spending money. I don't have any complaints, I'm a small business owner.
And we heard one word again and again.
It sucks.
Renee Governal plans to vote for Donald Trump.
Because everything is more expensive. Everything is just so much more expensive than 3.5 years ago.
Yes. On that point, Glendora Fonestock-Sutton agrees.
Do you feel that pinch economically?
Absolutely.
Tell me about that.
Hey, it's rough on everybody. Like housing is up, groceries is expensive, everything, and our paychecks don't live up to it.
But she's planning to vote for Kamala Harris.
Nice and big right here.
The whole thing may feel, well, complicated.
It's very, very complicated, and there are no quick and easy solutions.
In our newest poll, NBC News asked people all over the country the same open-ended question. The economy is, and by a 2-to-1 margin, the response is negative.
Walk me through some of the dynamics at play right now.
We sat down with our senior business correspondent, Christine Romans, at where else? A kitchen table to talk through it.
If the experts you talk to, if economists were to boil down how the economy is doing into a single word on our whiteboard, what word would that be?
If economists were to boil it down, they would say resilient. They'd say strong. Some would say historic.
The unemployment rate, 4.2%. Inflation at its lowest rate in more than 3 years. And the markets setting record highs. But higher prices at the grocery store, for example, aren't dropping back down as quickly as many want.
The problem is there are pieces inside the economy that cause real Americans at their kitchen table paying their bills, they feel like they can't get ahead. And those things are childcare, they're elder care. They are concerns about Social Security.
Experts call it a vibe session, the disconnect between how the economy is and how it feels. For some, clearly a mixed bag.
Hey there, sir. Thumbs up, thumbs down. The economy is thumbs up. And a thumbs down right behind him.
From bad to great, more than just a feeling, the reality for many Americans.
Who wants to do the writing?
With one word this election season, top of mind, money.
So I always vote with my wallet. Yeah, wallet first.
You vote with your wallet.
Wallet first.
And there you have it, battleground voters in their own words, many different words ahead of November. Back to you.
All right, Hallie Jackson, thank you. Don't forget, as Allie mentioned earlier, you can check out the first and only vice presidential debate tomorrow night right here on NBC. Coverage kicks off at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Let's turn now to Georgia, where some residents east of Atlanta were asked to shelter in place after a fire erupted at a chemical plant in Rockdale County, sending plumes of smoke into the sky.
Authorities say water from a malfunctioning sprinkler came into contact with a reactive chemical, causing the thick gray and orange smoke that you see here. It's billowing from the facility. Because of this, officials urge all those in the area to stay away and stay inside.
NBC News correspondent Priya Shrithar joins us now from Lithonia, Georgia, with the latest. Priya, good morning. So what are officials saying about how the fire began or this chemical that's involved? Also, do we know if there were any injuries?
Absolutely, guys. Well, as you can tell, those pictures were very dramatic, and everyone who lives in this area, that's what they were seeing out their windows yesterday. And at one point, county officials were able to basically put that fire out, but it ended up reigniting, and it actually went on for about 12 hours until 4 p.m. yesterday. But early this morning, we did hear from the county that the EPA has confirmed that there is chlorine in the air. It's important to note that where this fire occurred, BioLab in Conyers, Georgia, which is about 30 miles east of Atlanta, is actually a pool and spa treatment facility. So it has a lot of different chemicals inside, and a lot of those chemicals don't mix well with water. We're actually standing right now outside of one of the evacuation sites because county officials, emergency management officials, actually told about 17,000 residents who live near this BioLab to evacuate. We did get a statement from the parent company of BioLab. They said we are actively responding to an occurrence at our our facility in Conyers, Georgia. Our employees are accounted for with no injuries reported. Our team is on the scene working with first responders and local authorities to assess and contain the situation. And county officials have said this is an all hands on deck kind of situation, with Georgia Emergency Management Agency responding, hazmat teams, and also teams from FEMA, guys, to really try to contain the situation.
So, Priya, we've been covering Helene all morning long. Do we know, could that storm have had any impact on this fire igniting?
Yeah, Joe, that's actually a really great question. And the reason for that is there actually was another fire just like this at the exact same location back in September of 2020. And after an investigation was conducted as to what happened in that scenario, it was very similar, where water mixed with chemicals inside of that plant. They determined that it was a result of a hurricane. So right now, county officials are saying that it's too early to tell, but certainly once this is all resolved and everyone can return home, that's something they're definitely going to be looking into, guys.
All right, lots of questions here still. Priya Sridhar, thank you very much for your reporting.
Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, closer to home, major developments on the mission to bring back 2 astronauts stranded in space since June.
Up first, though, after the break, Lebanon under attack. Tensions rising across the Middle East ahead of a potential Israeli ground offensive. We'll be right back.
We're back now with the latest from the Middle East. Earlier this morning, an apparent Israeli airstrike hit an apartment building in central Beirut, an escalation in the conflict. Israel is also claiming to have killed another senior Hezbollah figure just days after the assassination of their leader, Hassan Nasrallah.
Hezbollah continues to fire rockets into northern Israel as Iran, which backs the militant group, has vowed to keep fighting despite these losses. Israel's expanded attacks on Hezbollah in Lebanon, as well as the Houthis in Yemen over the weekend, have stoked fears of a wider war in the region.
NBC News international correspondent Matt Bradley joins us now from the Lebanese capital with the latest. Matt, good morning. So let's start with this latest development. Hezbollah's deputy chief said in a message this morning the Iran-backed group will select a new chief and that it is ready for a potential IDF ground invasion. This is actually the first time we've heard from a Hezbollah leader since Nasrallah's death. So tell us about the significance of this and just what it means for this conflict going forward.
Yeah, I mean, Joe, it's been 3 days since Hassan Nasrallah was killed, along with, according to the Israelis, 20 other senior leaders of Hezbollah. And now, for the first time, we heard from another senior leader who apparently was spared in that enormous blast or series of blasts that occurred in Dahia, right here off my right shoulder. It's a metric of just how in disarray this group has become, that it took 3 days for them to come out and really speak to the public. This country is wondering where Hezbollah is, because remember, this isn't just a militant group. It has a big stake in politics here. As you mentioned, Naim Qassem, he said that they were going to pick a new leader. He said that they're ready for an Israeli ground invasion. And he said that they were holding back some of their weapons in reserve. He actually said Hezbollah has so far done the minimum against the Israelis, which begs the question, why aren't they doing more as Israel goes about methodically picking off its top leadership? And not just Hezbollah's top leadership. We've also heard that they killed a top member of Hamas, a top member for the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, which is a leftist group that a lot of our viewers haven't heard from for generations. Israel is taking stock and taking sides. They're taking score here. They are going about and killing top leaders of organizations even beyond Hezbollah. It is a vengeance mode that we're seeing right now. And it's, as you mentioned, it's now being seen in the heart of Beirut. That's another new thing just today or just overnight. For the first time since 2006, Israeli bombardments striking in the center of the capital. That is a small difference. It's really just a matter of blocks from what we've seen before, but it is a big change because it represents a new move by the Israelis to push into Beirut and to involve this entire country in their expanding war against Hezbollah and other militant groups. Guys.
Matt, Lebanon's prime minister has said that as many as 1 million people have been displaced and also that more than 1,000 have been killed since this fighting began with Israel, since these airstrikes. What is the current humanitarian situation on the ground, especially in light of this airstrike on Beirut that you said just right over your shoulder?
Yeah, well, the situation here is really dire because remember, this isn't just a huge number of people, and we've seen this before in other conflicts, and Lebanon itself has been hosting an enormous displaced population from Syria for the past better part of more than 10 years. But the fact is that this population of people, about 1 million, have been displaced in such a short period of time that this country, which is already in the 5th year of a financial crisis, simply didn't have time to prepare. So aid groups, aid agencies, individuals, they're trying to muster enough food and water and other assistance, places to sleep for all of these people. But instead, we're seeing people sleeping on the streets of Beirut and throughout the country. There simply isn't enough food and water. And that's unusual when you're talking about a United Nations operation to try to bring relief to people. Normally, there's donations, there's food, there's adequate supplies. In this case, it all happened so much, so fast. It's clearly taken aid agencies off guard, and the people are suffering as a result. Guys.
All right, Matt Bradley, thank you for your reporting. Please stay safe. For more on this, let's bring in the former director for Syria and Lebanon at the National Security Council, also the host of Oh My World on YouTube, Hagar Shamali. Good morning, Hagar. Always great to have you. Thanks for being with us. So put the death of Hassan Nasrallah in context for us. What does it mean for Hezbollah, and what does it mean to the larger conflict?
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Well, so the death of Hassan Nasrallah, first for Hezbollah, this is a significant loss for them, and something that, by the way, I mean, I don't want to understate how much death and destruction this guy caused, how much he is hated by the majority of people in Lebanon, something that is not well known. The majority of, Christians and Sunnis despise this guy who over decades invited Iran into Lebanon, who used Lebanon as a playground because of a goal of quote unquote resistance, of bringing weapons in, of undermining the economy of Lebanon, using its financial system when it could, of causing political impasse and political turmoil, and turning also, by the way, against own Lebanese citizens. So this, when you have at any terrorist organization, and this is a big one in particular, when you have the head of a snake, it makes a big difference to cut off the head of the snake, because terrorist organizations tend to be siloed. So they generally like to have a lot of power, and they don't always it's not something that is very transparent or, democratic, if you will. So you're going to see a lot of undermining their operations in particular. But it's not just Nasrallah, but it's the fact that so many of their commanders have been lopped off. And you're already seeing as Matt said, this disarray, that they don't seem to know what to do. They don't seem to know how to attack Israel next. Hezbollah has a very large arsenal of weapons. They do. And they also have a very large number of fighters. But the fact that we are not seeing the response that they've been promising and for months now means to me that they've really been significantly weakened, both from a governing standpoint and militarily.
So let's just walk through it. A lot has happened over the last few days. We have the killing of Nasrallah and other Hezbollah leaders, this airstrike into central Beirut, also airstrikes by Israel into Yemen. So when you put it all together, do we say we're on the brink of this wider war? Do we say we're in the wider war already? Put that into context for us.
Yeah, well, so it depends how you define wider war, but the fact is that this is going to be a long war. It's going to include all of these areas, and it's going to have its peaks and its lows. And right now we're at a peak. But it's not going to include Iran directly. Iran itself doesn't want to get involved in a war with Israel because they know it will rope in the United States. And that provides a very strong deterrent. Iran would prefer to use all of its proxies, Hezbollah, the Houthis, Hamas, and so on. And Israel has now shifted its military strategy, and I don't think that their end game is very clear. But as this war has dragged on, and as they have undermined the military capabilities of Hezbollah, it appears to me that Israel is now pursuing this war with the idea of never going back to the status quo before October 7. They want to eradicate the military capabilities of these terrorist organizations and ensure that they don't pose a future security threat. So I would expect this to continue. And I don't expect, unfortunately, a ceasefire soon on any side, whether it's between Israel and Hezbollah or Israel and Hamas. But that said, it kind of ends up turning into a war of attrition where it goes for a long time and it has its peaks and its valleys. But I don't expect something like a World War III across the region, if that helps.
Hagar, what can the U.S. do at this point?
The U.S. is going to keep insisting on a ceasefire, and they're going to try to drag both sides, both separately, Israel and Hamas and Israel and Hezbollah, to the table, kicking and screaming. And that is a worthy goal. I mean, that is, even though that feels very far away, and I do not expect a ceasefire anytime soon. At the same time, that is what mediators like the United States, Egypt, and Qatar, that is what they have to do, and they have to continue trying. Because you have so many lives at stake, but also because you still have hostages at stake, including, by the way, 7 American citizens, 4 of whom are believed to be alive. So they're going to be focusing on that and trying to prevent this from escalating even further. But they're also going to be sending messages to Hezbollah and Iran in particular that the U.S. stands ready to intercept missiles if necessary. And they moved an extra carrier into the region only a couple of weeks ago in order to reinforce that.
Hagar, thank you very much for joining us today. Coming up, port workers are set to head to the picket line.
Up next, the looming deadline that could have major impacts on the holiday shopping season. This is Morning News Now.
Welcome back. A looming strike deadline could mean shipping delays and economic gridlock heading into the holiday shopping season. Dock workers at some of the country's busiest ports are set to walk off the job if there's no deal by midnight tonight for the first time since 1977. NBC News correspondent Ellison Barber has the details.
Just hours from now, a potential major strike sparking fears that parts of the U.S. economy could come to a standstill. Thousands of dock workers threatening to walk off the job from Boston and New York, all the way down to New Orleans and Houston. The International Longshoremen's Association represents 85,000 workers in these critical port cities. A strike could cost up to $4.5 billion per day. These ports carry everything from canned goods to car parts to electronics, and a walkout would force major stores, including Walmart, Home Depot, and IKEA, to find other ways to get their products into the U.S. The workers are at an impasse over a new 6-year contract, demanding higher wages and more protections against automation. In recent weeks, the union boss defiant.
I'll shut them down throughout the world to prove that we can beat them.
The alliance pushing back, blasting what they call the union's repeated refusal to come to the table and bargain.
Are you worried this could crush the supply chain ahead of the holiday shopping season?
The longer a strike goes, the longer it's going to take to recover, the more of a potential impact it has.
President Biden has the power to break a strike, but the White House says he is not considering it.
Why not?
Because it's collective bargaining.
If a strike does happen, the National Retail Federation says for every day workers are on strike, for each day, there's going to be a 3 to 5 day recovery period for the supply chain. Reporting in Bayonne, New Jersey, Ellison Barber, NBC News.
Our thanks to Ellison. And as we draw closer to the November election, we're following a surprisingly tight Senate race that could be the deciding factor in who controls that chamber during the next term. The race is for an open Senate seat in Maryland. It's between a Democratic county executive and a nationally known former Republican governor who's openly clashed with former President Donald Trump. NBC News correspondent Antonia Hilton has our details.
In blue state Maryland, where Democratic events often look more like family reunions, there's an unusually tight race that could determine the balance of the Senate. Democrats out in full force.
And the key to the Senate majority runs through Maryland.
Asking voters to send Prince George's County Executive Angela Alsobrooks down to Washington and not their popular former governor, Republican Larry Hogan. Vice President Kamala Harris holds a 30-point lead here. A new poll has Alsobrooks up by 11, but others have Hogan within the margin of error. And his approval ratings were as high as 70% when he was governor.
How do you reach the split-ticket voters who are planning to vote for VP Harris, but who like Larry Hogan? He was their 2-term governor.
Yeah, you know what? This race is much bigger than Larry Hogan. Larry Hogan was recruited by Mitch McConnell because they share a goal in mind. They want Republicans to have control of the Senate.
Voters here say this contest comes down to reproductive rights and who they trust to reject a possible national abortion ban. Maryland has enshrined abortion rights, and the state's clinics serve women forced to travel from out of state.
I come from a state where a lot of the politicians didn't agree with a woman choosing her own medical rights. Women should have that choice.
Hogan, who's endorsed by but has long feuded with Trump, argues voters are tired of division and want to elect someone who'll stand up to both parties.
Hogan will be in the middle of the action, representing the center.
His message to voters, he'll be a sensible voice focused on issues like veterans' needs. But also Brooks warns he won't be as independent on abortion or gun reform in a polarized Senate.
How do you convince people to not believe a guy they've known for a long time?
Well, you know what, his record speaks for itself. But what we know also is that if he's elected, we'll never have a vote on Roe because the Republicans in the Senate will never bring it up for a vote.
In 2022, Governor Hogan attempted to veto and then withheld funding from a law to train additional health care workers to perform abortions, citing safety concerns.
Thanks for being here.
In an Axios interview earlier this year, Hogan declined to say how he would vote on IVF or to codify Roe v. Wade.
So is that yes?
Whether it's needed or
yes or no?
No, it wasn't a yes or no.
He now says he will vote to codify Roe. His campaign suggested a date and location to speak with NBC News, then said he was unavailable the day of the potential interview. His team told NBC News it's important for the health of our democracy to have two functioning parties, and that as governor, he made sure access to abortion was never a question for Maryland women. And others aren't sure they trust Elsa Brooks, a CNN report finding she claimed improper tax deductions on 2 properties. She tells NBC News this was a mistake made after a move and the passing of her parents, and that she's correcting her payments.
I think you need somebody that's a straight shooter. And unfortunately, in today's world, that is few and far between.
And for many Marylanders, Hogan has the familiar face.
I'm going to vote for Hogan just because I thought he did a good job for governor. I don't really know what Elsa Brooks kind of is doing.
Even some Elsa Brooks supporters still have affection for him.
I liked him as a governor. I'm not anti-Larry Hogan, but I'm anti what he represents.
They're just not sure he should hold that potentially tie-breaking vote in the U.S. Senate.
Our thanks to Antonia Hilton. What a great report. Well, coming up, they've been stranded in space for months. Now, 2 astronauts are one small step closer to home. We'll have more on the mission to bring them back. That's next on Morning News Now. Welcome back. A SpaceX crew is on a rescue mission to bring back stranded astronauts, Butch Wilmore and Sunita Williams. You remember this. They arrived at the International Space Station a while ago. That 2-man crew includes an American astronaut and a Russian cosmonaut, launched on Saturday in SpaceX's Dragon capsule. Wilmore and Williams, they're going to hitch a ride with the crew on the return leg, which is slated for February. They've been stranded at the space station since June, when their Boeing Starliner capsule suffered thruster failures and helium leaks. They were only supposed to be there for 8 days. This is the moment the Dragon capsule docked at the space station, and the crew were welcomed by their fellow astronauts. Joining us now is Dr. Paul Sutter. He's an astrophysicist and NASA advisor, also the author of this super chill titled book, How to Die in Space, A Journey Through Dangerous Astrophysical Phenomena. Dr. Sutter, thank you for joining us this morning. Okay, so how is it that NASA decided this was the best way to bring Williams and Wilmore back? And why did it take such a long time to ultimately settle on this course of action?
That's a great question. Ultimately, everything we do in space, we have to do with an incredible amount of care and analysis and study, because a failure is not an option. We don't want any astronauts to come to harm. And so as soon as the issues cropped up with Starliner, NASA and Boeing and SpaceX all started working together to find solutions. So one option was to take a risk with Starliner. Maybe it was fine, but you don't want to take that risk. We couldn't quantify the risk. We couldn't tell how bad of a risk it was that Starliner would fail on its return back to Earth with 2 astronauts. So instead, NASA turned to the normal crew rotations that happen roughly every 6 months on the space station. And normally this spacecraft, this Dragon capsule that just went up, was supposed to bring 4 astronauts to the International Space Station. But instead, they're just bringing 2. That leaves 2 empty seats so that when it returns, Suni and Butch can come back with them. And this seemed like the safest, most appropriate way to get these astronauts back to Earth.
It's just really so amazing that it went from 8 days to 8 months. We know that the faulty Boeing Starliner that brought them there in the first place, that returned successfully to Earth earlier this month, but it had all those issues. What's next for that capsule? Will Boeing and NASA look to rectify those issues? Is this capsule just done?
Surely this particular capsule is done. I do not think this particular capsule is going to return to space. As for what comes next with Boeing's Starliner program, I'm just glad I am not in those meetings, because I'm sure it is very tense and very fraught, because Boeing has announced that they want to continue the Starliner program. They want to keep working with NASA. They want to keep developing this spacecraft. But after a faulty issue like this, the future remains uncertain. Yes, the Starliner did return back to Earth empty and safe, but Boeing has a lot to answer for, and they have been very tight-lipped. They have not given any press conferences. They have not released a lot of information. So we're going to see over the next few months where the relationship between NASA and Boeing goes.
I've been so fascinated as we've had experts like yourself on the show, as we've had astronauts on the show, in hearing that it's not just completely negative surrounding the fact that it's an 8-day mission goes to 8 months. You know, I'm thinking like all the weddings that you're missing or things with your family. I know that they both have families. But they have seemed in good spirits, and I do understand, of course, if you're an astronaut, it's a privilege, right, to actually get to spend time in space, which is not how you're going to spend most of your time, despite how much you train for these types of things. What do you think? I mean, is this a challenge to be in the space this long unexpectedly? Is it taking a mental or physical toll, or is it something that's kind of an unusual opportunity?
Yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag here. On the one hand, these are professionals. They are professional astronauts. Their job is to be in space. Their job is not to be on the ground. And so the more time they have in space, the more time they have to do what they have been training their entire lives to do. So I'm sure that's why they're pretty calm about this, because they get to be in space longer. They maybe set some records. They get to do more experiments. But more time in space does take a toll on the human body. Without that constant pull of the Earth's gravity, your bones get thinner, your muscles get weaker, your heart gets weaker. And so this is going to take a toll on them, but that's part of the game.
Wow. All right. Dr. Paul Sutter, fascinating conversation. Always great to have you. Thank you so much. Well, let's come on back down to earth and get to some money news. Auto giant Stellantis is pumping the brakes on inventory here in the U.S. CNBC's Silvana Henao has that and other money news for us. Hey, Silvana, good morning.
Savannah, good morning to you. Yes, so Stellantis, that's the parent company of Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Fiat, plans to slash inventory with price cuts as it issues a massive warning over its financial outlook. Stellantis will reduce U.S. inventory to about 330,000 vehicles over the next year, and it will increase incentives on both 2024 and older vehicles. Stellantis and other automakers, they've been facing a lot of pressure from rising supplies and competition from China. These latest moves also come ahead of a possible strike by the UAW. AT&T is getting out of the entertainment industry. It's selling its controlling stake in satellite TV provider DirectTV to private equity firm TPG for more than $7 billion. AT&T says the deal will allow it to focus on being a 5G wireless and fiber connectivity company. AT&T bought DirectTV in 2015 for $67 billion, then spun most of it off into a separate entity in 2021. And Mark Cuban is warning Tesla CEO Elon Musk against forming an alliance with former President Donald Trump. In a post on X, Cuban says that's because the Republican presidential nominee may not ultimately repay his political debts, and his loyalty is only to himself. Cuban's post was in response to an earlier message from Musk in which he amplified a number of conspiracy theories about Democrats and immigration. The two billionaires are on opposing sides of the presidential race, even as they both eye some of these same business regulations, Savannah.
All right, Silvana, thank you so much. Coming up, bird watching at a bar. You heard that right. Patrons catching the real eagles and falcons over a beer or two. We'll take you inside the one-of-a-kind experience next on Morning News Now. Finally, this hour, sports bars across the Midwest were packed, pun slightly intended, for the big Vikings-Packers matchup last night. But patrons at one particular watering hole had their feathers ruffled by something a little different on their big screens. Reporter Brad Hicks has the story.
Fountain City along the Mississippi River sits at the midpoint between Green Bay Packers and Minnesota Vikings fans. But at the Monarch Public House on Main Street, patrons are only watching the Eagles and Falcons.
Now, who wants an old-fashioned?
The bar's big screen is reserved for birds. Raptors being recorded on more than a dozen live cameras along the vital Mississippi Flyway.
We've been eyeing this site.
John Howe and his team at the Raptor Resource Project are about to make one of their cameras even better.
Today we're going to put a studio quality microphone out there with the peregrine falcons.
To do it, they need to rappel down a cliff. The Raptor Resource Project began 35 years ago to help bring peregrine falcons back from near extinction along the river. They set up cameras to monitor the nest boxes.
We found out real quickly how much interest there was to watch raptors.
With better technology and live streaming, the Raptor Resource Project cameras now give you a front row seat along the Mississippi Flyway from Iowa to Minnesota. Bald eagles and peregrine falcons are the most popular, but you can see all sorts of wildlife. You never know who will make a cameo on the cams.
It's just like you're sitting there living with those eagles or with those falcons.
Back on the cliff, Amy Reese and Dave Kester are close to getting that new studio quality microphone installed.
What do you think about that?
Snug as a bug. It is going to be fantastic.
Volunteers operate the rotating cameras on raptorresource.org. Experts moderate live chat rooms. Classrooms can even join. And every few weeks, they compile a cleverly titled, binge-worthy highlight reel from the cameras you may have missed.
We were calling them Nestflix, and somebody said, Nestflix and chill.
Along the upper Mississippi, Brad Hicks reporting.
Make an entire streaming platform out of all these
Netflix.
cameras of animals. It's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us. The news continues right now. Good morning, I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, aftermath. Widespread cleanup efforts underway in several states in the wake of Helene, the superstorm now responsible for taking nearly 100 lives. We're on the ground in one of the areas hardest hit. In the Middle East, Israel steps up those deadly attacks in Lebanon, striking the center of the capital, Beirut, for the first time in the conflict. Militant group Hezbollah confirming the death of its leader over the weekend. And local officials say more than 1,000 people have now been killed and 1 million displaced. Our Richard Engel is there with the latest. Back home, a swing state sweep for Vice President Harris and former President Trump. Both candidates embarking on a battleground blitz over the weekend with just 35 days until Election Day. Comes on the heels of a critical border visit for the VP, looking to bring Latino voters to the ballot box in an ever-tightening race. We're covering it all as Governor Walz and Senator Vance prepare to face off on the debate stage tomorrow night in primetime. Plus, meet Hassan Piker, the Twitch sensation who's bringing his striking form of political commentary to millions of young voters online in an election year like no other. Looking forward to bringing you that story. Good to have you with us on a Monday morning. We begin with the latest on the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. The superstorm claiming dozens of lives with many more unaccounted for.
The storm left behind a path of destruction 500 miles long across the southeast after making landfall in Florida's Big Bend late Thursday. NBC News correspondent George Solis has the latest from hard-hit Asheville, North Carolina.
Good morning, Joe and Savannah. The death toll at 90, and tragically that number is expected to increase. Only now are we actually able to assess some of the devastation in some of these neighborhoods that were completely submerged by water. This is the River Arts District, and take a look. You can really see some of the debris here and destruction. Look at these power lines. They were snapped like twigs by the force of the water, which is why some officials are calling this Asheville's version of Katrina. And I have to tell you, frustration is growing that there doesn't appear to be a larger federal footprint here on the ground and no set timeline on when crucial resources like water will be turned back on. This morning, the devastating effects of Hurricane Helene reaching far and wide as residents come face to face with destruction and a tragic reality.
I don't know if we can rebuild or be able to come back from this.
After the storm swept into the southeast last week, floodwaters downing bridges and submerging entire towns like Chimney Rock, North Carolina, now destroyed. And as cleanup begins, large swaths of communities like here in Asheville, North Carolina, still underwater. From above the city, heartbreaking views. Some areas still unreachable by water slow to recede.
I've never seen anything like this. I mean, there were buildings fully submerged.
My mother lives in a nursing home. We tried to get there today, and you just can't.
Some people kayaking to safety. We were there when water rescues got underway. And the storm also devastating Florida's Gulf Coast. The dangerous surge flooding homes and city streets. Helene's 100-plus-mile-an-hour winds ripping out floors as locals begin the long road to rebuilding.
We're going to get started. We're not going to wait a month or two.
Throughout the South and beyond, cars that survived the storm.
Lines moving very slow.
At a standstill, waiting for hours to fill up at the pump. While in North Carolina, many roads are impassable, making rescues even more difficult. And meaning the true scope of the damage and loss is still unknown.
What Mother Nature can do and the damage is just, it's incredible.
And word from the White House, President Biden is set to visit Helene-impacted areas as long as it doesn't impede with search and rescue operations, which we know are ongoing. One bright spot, a silver lining, if you will, is that we have seen some resiliency in Asheville. Neighbors helping neighbors, sharing resources during a crisis that seems slow to improve. Back to you.
All right, George, thank you.
For the latest on the cleanup and recovery efforts in Asheville, let's bring in Stacy Wood. She is the Public Information Officer for Buncombe County in North Carolina. That is where Asheville is located. Stacy, thank you for taking time to be with us this morning. We know that you are going through a lot. I mean, just help us understand what the situation is like there right now, just the biggest challenges that you're facing.
Yes, thanks for having me and helping to spread this information. We are actively in search and rescue mode right now. We have received thousands of names of unaccounted for individuals who their loved ones are desperate to find them. And so we are going door to door. We're partnering across agencies to take in those names, go door to door to check on these individuals, and then close that loop with their friends and family who are desperate to know if they're okay. That is our number one concern right now.
Absolutely. For viewers who have been seeing images like this on their screen right now coming out of Asheville, maybe people have visited or know Biltmore Village, and we've seen how high the water was there. What is the status of the floodwaters receding right now? How does it look in many parts of the city?
It looks, it's unrecognizable. Our hearts are broken. My heart breaks when I see images like this. Out in Swannanoa, out in Black Mountain, in every corner of Buncombe County, Barnardsville, total devastation. Communities who are cut off from each other and will never be the same. But our communities are strong and resilient, and I anticipate a lot of effort, community effort, in this response.
Has Asheville seen anything like this before historically?
No. This is an unprecedented historical, you can't even wrap your mind around the devastation. You see this, you see these images on TV, but if you can't fully understand what this really means here when you're on the ground. It's unbelievable.
For people who haven't visited Asheville, there's a lot of older homes and buildings, some kind of tucked in hills, but then you also have this river running through the center of the community. Is there broader concern about the environmental impacts, like in those hilly areas, that anything there could collapse, or that if the river does overflow again as there is more rain expected, that we could see further stages of concerns here?
Absolutely. Yesterday, we mentioned in a press briefing that we are concerned about landslides. And so we put out some information around warning signs for landslides. And that's just a complicating factor of this event. You have high-level landslide threats. You have river valley flooding, dams, reservoirs. We're actively monitoring and working together with our municipalities and first responders to monitor the reservoirs, dams, landslide threats, and just river flood and rescue efforts to provide updates to the community as quickly as possible, which is a challenge given that we don't even have power, phone lines, cell service. It's an incredibly complex event.
And Stacy, more rain is in the forecast. How much does that worry you and everyone in the community?
We are incredibly concerned about the forecast. We have opened multiple emergency shelters, and if people can access them, we encourage them to come to the shelter if they need a safe place to stay, especially given this upcoming forecast. So we encourage people to just keep an eye on whatever news source that they have access to, and to come to these shelters if it becomes a bigger threat.
Stacey Wood, Asheville and your county is an absolute treasure. We are thinking of you and everyone in your community right now. Please keep us updated, okay?
Thank you.
Now let's get to the dangerously high temperatures that are actually expected on the West Coast this morning.
Yeah, a lot to track. NBC meteorologist Michelle Grossman here with a look at what's in store for the week ahead. Michelle, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, we're looking at dangerous temperature, record-breaking temperatures out west. We're looking at temperatures soaring into the triple digits, 10 to 20 degrees above normal for this time of year. So 24 million Americans in the West under heat alerts. We have heat advisories for San Francisco down to Monterey. We have some heat warnings as well. That's in the hot pink color. So Las Vegas, Death Valley, Kingman, Blythe, Yuma, Phoenix under heat warnings. And we're going to see this heat continuing over the next several days. This is what we're looking at today. Temperatures into the triple digits in many spots like Las Vegas, Palmdale, Phoenix. Phoenix, you could break a record. The record there is 107, record of 103 in Las Vegas. The record in Palmdale is 100 degrees. So most likely breaking a record there too. Notice the heat goes off into the northern plains as well. Grand Junction, 88 degrees, could break a record there as well. That is today. That as we look towards tomorrow, another hot day. This is October 1st tomorrow. So this is dangerous heat late in the season. We're looking at Las Vegas, 102, Flagstaff, 83. The record there is 83. Lancaster, 104, Yuma, 109. Again, into the central northern plains as well. We're looking at that heat continuing. And then as we go towards Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, no relief in many spots. Still in the triple digits in Las Vegas. Los Angeles, you're going to be warm on Wednesday, 80 degrees, but not in the triple digits, into the 100s too in Fresno, 102 on Thursday, 99 on Friday. That is the story in the West. We talked about the showers in portions of the mid-Atlantic. Rain is not needed here, as we just heard. We're looking at the remains of Helene still being talked about, not offshore until tomorrow. So it's going to be another tricky day there too. The rivers and streams so swollen, the ground saturated. Now, as we head towards Wednesday, we're going to clear it out in that spot. That is good news. So the system finally moves offshore tomorrow. We're going to bring back some sunshine, bring back some drying conditions. Much needed relief there. Northeast rain, though, in portions of the Great Lakes. September warmth does continue in parts of the West. And then, guys, as we go towards Friday, we're looking at sunny and seasonable conditions in the Northeast and rain returning in the Southeast. Could see some heavy rain along the Gulf Coast on Friday.
All right. Oh, my gosh. So much going on, Michelle. Thank you.
Turning now to the latest in the Middle East, Israeli airstrikes hit the heart of Lebanon's capital city, Beirut, for the first time since Israel escalated its attacks on the country. The bombing comes after a weekend of increased fighting between Israel and the Iran-backed militant group Hezbollah, which has lost several senior figures in these strikes. NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel has the latest.
I am now above South Beirut, the area where Israel killed the leader of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah. And you can hear Israeli drones in the sky. They've been circling overhead for the last several days, searching for more Hezbollah commanders. But the group itself is sounding defiant, with the deputy leader of Hezbollah this morning saying it will emerge victorious.
Israel is widening its war in Lebanon and far beyond it, carrying out its deepest attack overnight in Lebanon's capital in nearly 20 years.
This Israeli strike happened in the middle of the night, and for the first time, it is not in the southern suburb of Beirut, the Hezbollah stronghold in this city, but right in the heart of the commercial district. And that has many people in this city very nervous that now no area is off limits.
Israel is hunting Hezbollah across Beirut and targeting all of Iran's militias in the Middle East. Yesterday, Israel carried out a major strike in Yemen. The port city, now in flames, is under the control of a militia called the Houthis, backed by Iran, and who've been targeting ships in the Red Sea. But Lebanon remains the main focus of Israel's expanding war. Israel said it wants to destroy Hezbollah, the crown jewel in Iran's so-called axis of resistance. New images show the massive crater left by the U.S.-made 2,000-pound bunker-busting bombs that Israel dropped to kill Hezbollah's leader Hassan Nasrallah in Beirut last week. And now Israel is hitting Hezbollah while it's down and in disarray, trying to eliminate every senior and mid-level commander it can find. President Biden was asked Sunday if an all-out war can be prevented.
Yeah, we really have to avoid it.
But many Lebanese have no faith the U.S. can or wants to stop this. This morning, we visited an office complex now full of families who have just fled South Beirut. Izdahar Al-Fawani told me she thinks if Israel does invade, it will only make Hezbollah stronger because guerrilla war is the group's specialty. Many here remain loyal to Hezbollah, cheering Nasrallah's name as they wait for his replacement to be announced.
And this morning, an Israeli official told NBC News that Israeli special forces have been carrying out limited probing operations, leaving northern Israel, entering Lebanon. But the official said that it is not necessarily an indication that a ground incursion is imminent.
Richard, thank you.
When the race for the White House this morning, voters in several states are already casting early and absentee ballots as we inch closer to Election Day. Former President Trump and Vice President Harris were both on the campaign trail over the weekend, courting voters in those all-important swing states. Soon, though, it'll be their running mates taking the spotlight during their first and only debate. That's tomorrow night. Here's NBC News Now anchor Hallie Jackson with the details.
Hey there, good morning to you. With both presidential candidates planning to hit areas hit hard by Hurricane Helene in the days to come, they're also both ramping up for the final stretch to Election Day with campaign stops in several key battlegrounds as Mr. Trump escalates his personal attacks. A swing state split screen as Election Day closes in. Former President Trump in the Rust Belt, Vice President Harris, the Sun Belt, rallying voters overnight in Nevada, where she called out the former president for saying he won't do another debate.
And as you say here in Las Vegas, I'm all in. I'm all in. Even if my opponent is ready to fold.
Vice President Harris also slamming Mr. Trump for his role in killing that bipartisan immigration bill earlier this year and what she called fanning flames of division and fear.
Look, we need a president who cares more about solving problems than playing political games and demeaning people full time.
The vice president, fresh off her visit to the southern border in Arizona, earning an endorsement from the state's Republican former Senator Jeff Flake.
She wants to have a tougher policy than the Biden administration has employed, and I think that that's certainly needed.
But former President Trump blasting the vice president on immigration.
She should be impeached and prosecuted for her actions.
While also escalating personal attacks by insulting her over the weekend.
Kamala is mentally impaired. Think about it, only a mentally disabled person could have allowed this to happen to our country.
Even some Republicans pushing back.
And now he's questioning her mental competence, and I think that's insulting not only to the vice president, but to people that actually do have mental disabilities.
But Mr. Trump doubling down Sunday.
Crooked Joe Biden became mentally impaired, sad. But lying Kamala Harris, honestly, I believe she was born that way.
And in the same speech, speaking about crime.
See, we have to let the police do their job. And if they have to be extraordinarily rough.
And after last year suggesting police should shoot shoplifters as they leave stores, now proposing a free period of violence as a deterrent.
They have to be taught. Now, if you had one really violent day, one rough hour, and I mean real rough, the word will get out and it will end immediately.
And tomorrow, the focus shifts to the running mates who are getting ready for their first and only face-off. J.D. Vance has been holding prep sessions with Congressman Tom Emmer, who's playing the part of Tim Walz, with Vance's wife among those helping him get ready, according to a source familiar. Another source tells us Walz has been doing his prep at what aides call Camp North Star, joined by Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, who's playing the part of Vance. Lots to watch tomorrow night. Back to you.
All right, Hallie, thank you so much. And be sure to check out special coverage of tomorrow night's first and only vice presidential debate. That coverage kicks off at 8 p.m. Eastern right here on NBC News Now and NBC. Well, there's much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now. We're watching your wallet with some good news for potential home buyers this morning. Could it be time to jump on those falling mortgage rates or maybe refinance? We'll take a closer look at the market heading into fall.
But first, after the break, the man at the center of that apparent assassination attempt on former President Trump set to face a judge today. How he's expected to plead to the federal charges against him. That's next.
Welcome back. The man accused of trying to assassinate former President Donald Trump outside one of his Florida golf courses is due in court later today.
About 2 weeks ago, Ryan Wesley Ruth was arrested near the former president's Florida golf course. Authorities say the Secret Service opened fire on him when they spotted a rifle barrel poking through the bushes. A week ago, Ruth was denied bail after the federal judge called him both a serious flight risk and a danger to the community. Today, Ruth is back in court to face 5 charges, including attempted assassination of a major presidential candidate.
NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch joins us now from outside the courthouse in West Palm Beach, Florida. Jesse, good morning. So walk us through the 5 federal charges Ruth faces and what we're expecting to see in court today.
Yeah, guys, good morning. Remember, initially he was just facing 2 weapons charges, but that has since been expanded after a grand jury indicted him. You mentioned the first one there, attempted assassination of a major presidential candidate. He's also now charged with possessing a firearm in furtherance of a crime of violence, assaulting a federal officer. That is in reference to the allegation that he was pointing a gun barrel toward a Secret Service agent, a felon in possession of a firearm and ammunition, and possession of a firearm with an obliterated serial number. So those last 2 charges are the ones we were already familiar with. So he will be arraigned in court today. We'll be looking to see if he enters a plea, guilty or not guilty. We'll be looking to see what comes out of that hearing, and that is scheduled for 11:45 a.m. Eastern time today.
So, Jesse, authorities say Ruth never actually fired a shot during the incident. So how are prosecutors saying they're making their case that it was clear he intended to assassinate the former president?
Yeah, so prosecutors have already laid out a whole bunch of evidence in court. We were there last week hearing as they presented all of this evidence to a judge. And among the pieces of evidence, prosecutors say that they found one of Ruth's fingerprints on this rifle. They say that a witness had spotted him in the area of the golf course. They also say that someone in North Carolina contacted them after Ruth's arrest and said that Ruth had brought them a box months earlier, and in that box, allegedly, there was that letter, which you're seeing on screen right now, which talked about a failed assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. So they point to all of that evidence as why they believe that he was in Florida for one reason and one reason only, and that was to kill the former president. That is the allegation for prosecutors, and they say that there was cell phone data showing that he was in the area for the better part of a month, across the month leading into this incident. Ruth was repeatedly near the former president's home and golf course here in West Palm Beach.
So we haven't heard a plea from Ruth yet, but have his defense attorneys said anything about the charges?
Yeah, so we've heard from them in court, of course, arguing on his behalf, trying to find a way for the judge to grant him an opportunity to be outside of custody before the trial, which that attempt failed. The judge did not grant him pretrial granted pretrial detention on behalf of the prosecution. But the suggestion we've seen from the defense so far is there's no direct evidence proving he was holding the gun, pointing the gun at a Secret Service agent. They point to the fact that there's no surveillance footage as a special agent from the FBI admitted in court. There's no footage of Ruth actually holding the gun at the golf course. There's no footage of him running across the street from the golf course. So they point to those kinds of things, say there is effectively no proof of him in the moment holding this rifle, pointing it at the golf course, guys.
All right, Jesse Kirsch, thank you very much.
Let's bring in NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalos for more on what all of this means. So we have this attempted assassination charge now, which carries a maximum sentence of life in prison. Do we have any precedent for this? I mean, certainly not recently, right?
You mean attempted assassination?
Yeah.
What's interesting is that attempted assassination or assassination of a president or a presidential candidate is not something that is natural. In other words, it was enacted sometime after the birth of this country, because it wasn't really, this is not something the federal government ordinarily handles. Assassination attempts, murder, things like that. But yes, he is now charged with assassination attempt on a major presidential candidate. And the reason this likely took some time is because at first, all the government had evidence of was guy in the woods by a fence, without any other information about why he was there. So the natural defense would be, hey, he could have been there even if wanting to assassinate someone. It could be anyone in the universe other than a major presidential candidate. So what that tells me is that the government has assembled evidence sufficient that they believe they can prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he was there with the intent to assassinate, and specifically the intent to assassinate Trump.
We just heard details on what some of that evidence may be, right? There's this letter that was dropped off to somebody else. He was in the area of this golf course for quite some time before, leading up to this day. Knowing that now we have this evidence mounting, what do you see a potential defense strategy as?
What's fascinating about this case is before there were reports of this letter that he supposedly dropped off that says something that is very incriminating, essentially sounding like he's admitting to trying to kill the presidential candidate. This read like a law school essay question on a test, because it's kind of an interesting theory. If Guy is in the woods with firearm and you don't have any more information about his intent, how can you prove he was there to kill anybody? And I suspect that even with the advent of this letter and some of this other evidence, that will still be the defense strategy. Simply that you can't prove he held the firearm, you can't prove why he was there, you can't prove what he was doing there in the woods, and he's not talking. If ever there was a case where I expect you're not going to hear the defendant testify, it's probably going to be this one, because the defense needs to focus on the absence of the government's evidence. I suspect that if they called their client to the stand, the case would only get worse for them, not better.
So after today, what will be the next steps? How quickly could this one go to trial?
In federal court, federal law requires that cases go to trial within 70 days. However, that is not a hard rule, because the defense can ask for additional time if the case is complex. Things happen, scheduling issues happen. But generally speaking, in federal court, you can expect the case to move very quickly to trial, as opposed to state courts, especially in cities where the dockets are clogged. They're simply not as clogged in federal court, and they have a mandate to move cases along. This also sounds like a relatively simple case. Not a lot of complex white-collar or regulatory issues. This is a firearms and essentially an attempted murder case. I would expect it goes to trial relatively quickly, but I would also expect it ends in a plea. That's my suspicion. It's just based on my instincts.
All right. Danny Savalos, your instincts are usually right, so we appreciate it. Thanks for joining us. Coming up, a looming labor strike that could cost America's economy billions.
After the break, why thousands of dock workers might soon be taking to the picket lines at some of the country's most pivotal ports, and how it all could impact your wallet in the coming months. That is next on Morning News Now. We're back now with a look at a dispute that could cause a major disruption to the supplies of many of the goods shipped into the country.
Yeah, at midnight tonight, thousands of dock workers across several states could be hitting the picket line after negotiations between companies and the International Longshoremen's Association have stalled.
NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans joins us here, and she is going to tell us why this does matter to you, even if it sounds a little wonky. Why are these workers potentially hitting the picket line? What are they demanding?
They want more pay, and they want less automation, because all the automation that's happening at these ports they think is sort of existential, hard for me to say, and very scary for them to say at these ports. Their contract expires tonight. It's a 6-year deal. The union is really playing hardball here, because it knows 3.8 to 4.5 billion is the cost per day of a strike. This actually is really dramatic for the economy. A lot of stuff goes through these ports.
Do we know which ports where we would see the strikes, and just what's the ripple effect then of how much?
East Coast, Gulf Coast. So we're talking, Boston all the way to Houston. It's just this big sort of, big U shape there. And there are 14 major ports. I mean, you look at New York and New Jersey, that port right here in our backyard, there are, just in July, it handled 420,000 imported containers full of everything from cherries to, you know, cars to lumber to steel to all these things you need to run an economy.
Wow. Okay, so for people at home, people who just want to shop for something, you order something online.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the holidays,
Right.
of course, and how much shopping goes on during that time. What does this look like? What does this mean it does for us?
So big retailers, they saw this coming and they have been planning. I mean, you've got some of these big names. They have been actually filling their warehouses in the months before this because they know that freight rates are going to rise and they're going to have more difficulty getting supplies. There might be things in short supply. So about 90% of the holiday shopping stuff, we're told, is in warehouses.
Okay.
It's ready to go. It's on pallets. It's.
I'm surprised it's not in stores already. To be honest with
exactly.
you.
It might be. It might be actually. But you know that there's only so long that can last. For every day of a strike, it takes up to 5 days to sort of catch up. So the longer something like this happens, the more it snarls the supply chain and can raise prices for consumers. And that's really what these big companies and their trade associations have been telling, telling the White House, saying we really would like you to intervene, but also telling both the union and the port operators that you guys need a deal because this isn't good for the economy and for the prices consumers pay.
Do we have some historical context that tells us, okay, if a strike like this happens, does it put a lot of pressure on the companies to settle because they see the prices going up or the short supplies, or can these last a long time?
I mean, there's a lot of pressure on these companies because they have made billions and billions of dollars. And if you listen to this union boss, he talks about they want, I mean, reportedly 77% pay increase over 6 years. 40% is what the union offered, what the USMC, the Maritime Alliance offered. The union said it's insulting. This is a classic dogfight right now, and at midnight the chains go on the fences. In fact, some places are already chaining up right now because they think this strike is going to happen.
You mentioned that they're going to the White House wanting an intervention here. We did hear from the president saying, I don't plan to intervene. It's collective bargaining in action. Do we think that stands if this starts to go on for quite some time? And what do you think? I mean, so close to an election. How much will that impact?
Right now, the White House is saying that they want these two parties to do what they do best, collective bargain, get the best deal. But the White House over the weekend, a senior White House official telling us they want to do this, make sure it's a fair deal, commensurate with the profits these companies are making. And these companies have made a lot of money through COVID and beyond. So we shall see. But automation, a very big sticking point here, too, because there's automation that could put a lot of these jobs just out of business.
Wow. Christine Romans, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Now to the United Kingdom, where Prince Harry is returning to London today to support a charity. This is Princess Kate is slowly starting to step back into public life. NBC News International correspondent Kelly Kobiea has more.
Well, Prince Harry has said it's a true privilege to be invited as the guest of honor to this charity event here in London today. The charity, which Prince Harry has been working with for more than a decade, has confirmed that he will be here, but they're not saying much else.
A homecoming for Prince Harry, expected back in London today in support of a children's charity, making a speech and meeting families at the Well Child Awards, the same event he attended last year, celebrating children living with serious illness. Details of the event kept under wraps for now.
We know that the charity itself was told by Harry's security team that they were not to publicise details of the event.
The visit to London comes after Prince Harry's busy trip to New York last week at the UN General Assembly, bringing attention to online safety for children and his mother, Princess Diana's work on landmines.
The Hello Trust work in Angola meant a great deal to my mother. Carrying on her legacy is a responsibility that I take incredibly seriously.
The Duke of Sussex even making a surprise appearance on The Tonight Show, walking through Jimmy Fallon's haunted house. And next month, Prince Harry will be in South Africa for the first time since his royal tour with Meghan in 2019, when she first revealed she was struggling in her royal role. The couple stepped back as working royals months later in early 2020. And now, former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson claims in his new memoir that he was asked to try to persuade Harry to stay with a kind of manly pep talk the day before the prince flew to Canada. Details of this return to the UK still unclear. How long will Prince Harry stay? Will he see his father, King Charles?
Whilst I think many people were perhaps optimistic that Harry and Charles might reconcile, I don't think that anybody thinks that that's going to happen anytime soon between Harry and William.
His sister-in-law, Princess Kate, is now slowly returning to work after announcing she'd finished chemotherapy. And last week posting this after a surprise visit to watch a ballet performance in London. calling it wonderfully powerful, moving, and inspiring. The princess possibly back in public in the coming weeks for a ceremony honoring veterans and her annual Christmas concert.
As for any possible meeting with his father, King Charles, well, the king did spend the weekend in Balmoral in Scotland. He's due back in London for a public event on Wednesday, so there may be an opportunity in between for the two to meet.
All right, Kelly, thank you.
Well, back in the U.S., some libraries around the country are calling themselves book sanctuaries and making banned books available to readers. Reporter Lisa Robinson from our NBC News affiliate in Baltimore visited the first one in Maryland.
Shake your sillies. Wednesday's story time was Granddad's Camper, an LGBTQ book for kids. Library officials say many of the typically banned books are about gender identity, same-sex marriages, and race.
During this Banned Books Week, we stand here united in our commitment to one thing: protecting your freedom to read.
This bookshelf contains commonly challenged and banned books, but they'll be here for people to read. Library CEO Skip Auld says the nation's libraries and librarians continue to be under attack.
The American Library Association reports that in 2023, public libraries saw a 92% increase in the number of titles targeted for censorship over the previous year.
Here in Maryland, in the last 5 years, more than half of the state's public libraries have faced book challenges. There's also been a 600% increase in staff threats and 11 bomb threats. Parents we spoke to say they support the library's decision.
It's pretty wonderful. I mean, the idea of banning books is so just archaic. And I think that it's really important that our children especially are able to read books about people other than themselves.
Books like To Kill a Mockingbird, which tells a very, very important story about racial relations in the South at a certain time in our history. And it's unbelievable to me that there are people who would not want our children to be able to have access to these books.
County Executive Stuart Pittman took the effort here one step further and declared the county a book sanctuary.
All right, thanks to Lisa Robinson for that report. Coming up, we are diving into Generation Twitch.
Yeah, enter streamer Hassan Piker. He's a wildly popular political commentator who's bringing the nitty-gritty of hot-button issues to millions of young voters on a platform known for its video game communities. We're going to introduce you next. We're back with some positive news for potential home buyers.
Yeah, mortgage rates fell for the third week in a row last week, hitting their lowest point since 2022.
So is now the right time to buy? NBC News senior consumer investigative correspondent Vicki Nguyen is here with everything we need to know. So first of all, just talk about the falling mortgage rates and why we are seeing this right now.
Yeah, this is great news for buyers and sellers, Joe. When you see inflation coming down and then that obviously affects mortgage rates coming down, it's kind of like the combo everybody has been waiting for. It leads to a lot of movement in the market. Here's a snapshot of what things look like right now. 6.08% is the average rate right now for a 30-year fixed mortgage. That's the most common one. Compare that to a year ago. That's a 1.25 less. If you're aggressive and you want to take on a 15-year fixed mortgage, you can pay off that home. The rate is even lower. It's sitting at 5.16% compared to, look, 6.72% just a year ago. So the rates have come down significantly for folks. Just keep in mind, buying a home isn't just about the rate. You need to think about your income. How much is that property tax going to cost you? What about insurance? And something to avoid home buyer's remorse. Do you have money in a savings account for an emergency? Because when that toilet starts leaking or that shower breaks, you no longer have a landlord to call to fix it. It's you.
Yeah.
You're the landlord. You got to get that wrench out.
As a recent home buyer, that has been very interesting.
Yes.
And honestly, the first day we owned the home, we needed a new toilet in one of the bathrooms.
And Alex was like, okay, let me brush up on my skills.
Really, really fun. Yeah. So, okay, if you are wanting to buy a home, this is the question, right? Which I know is a tough one to answer, but is it now, oh, great, there's a home I want and the rate's just above 6%, or is these just going to keep falling, and is it better to wait?
Well, this is as close to a crystal ball as I can get for you, but the Fed, when they met this month, projected another half-point cut by the end of the year. So we're looking at another meeting in November after the election and December as well. And then going into the beginning of next year, we're likely going to see rates continue to fall. So if you can wait. The National Association of Realtors says they are seeing that people are kind of on the sidelines because they see rates falling. But there are some signs that people are interested again. Home tours have gone up 8% since the beginning of the year. People are out there looking. And also, mortgage applications rose 10% month over month. So people are getting themselves ready, which is good.
And it's going to get very competitive when the rates drop a little bit more.
Absolutely.
For those who already own a home, especially those who maybe bought with a higher interest rate, what should they know about refinance?
Really tempting to refinance right now. And I would say call your lender and figure out, okay, is this a time that makes sense? Because it costs 2 to 6% of the new loan to refinance. It is not free. Right. But let me give you an idea of what the payments could look like, right? In a scenario where the average or the median home price right now in the U.S. is sitting at $412,000, you're paying about $2,600 a month on a 7.5% mortgage. Drop that 1% and you're saving more than $200 a month. That's more than $2,600 over the course of the year. Play that out over a 30-year mortgage. You're saving close to $80,000 on interest. So even 1 percentage point can make quite a difference if you do refinance, and especially if you have a rate that's sitting closer to 8%. You're seeing 6% right now. That's looking pretty good.
Yeah. But remember, there's costs that come with that, too.
2 to 6% of the new loan. So there are fees. They'll roll it in for you, but that's why you got to do the math on the monthly payment.
Yeah, you hear the word refinancing thrown around a lot, but it's not so simple.
No, it's not free.
So what is the best advice for getting the best mortgage rate?
Yes. The best way to get the best mortgage rate, Savannah, is to have the best credit score possible. So pay down that revolving debt. That's the credit card debt that you have. We talk about that financial quicksand. I want you to get rid of it. Pay more than the minimum if you can. Pay all your bills on time. Set it and forget it, because paying on time accounts for 35% of your credit score. Very important. 2 things you can do also. Pick up the phone and call and say, can you increase my credit limit? Not because you're going to spend to that credit limit, but because it helps your credit score. Also ask if they'll lower your interest rate. It doesn't hurt to ask. 3/4 of the time it works. And finally, 1 in 4 Americans has a mistake on their credit report. So go to freecreditreport.com, ask for your free credit report, and see if there are any mistakes, and then call to have that fixed. That will bring your credit score up as well.
All right. Vicki, great tips. Thank you so much. Good to have you here this morning. Well, let's stay on money news. And speaking of houses, Apple might be looking to move in with some new home products that are reportedly in the works.
CNBC's Savannah Henao has that and some other money headlines. Savannah, good morning.
Hey, Joe. Hey, Savannah. Good morning. Well, yeah, Apple may release an iPad-like smart home display next year. Bloomberg reports it will use a new operating system called Home OS. It's based on the software that runs Apple TV, and it'll include apps such as Calendar, Notes, and Home. And Apple has tested prototypes with magnets, so you can mount it on the wall. It will also support Apple's AI technology, Apple Intelligence. Meanwhile, California Governor Gavin Newsom vetoes a landmark bill that would have created the country's first safety measures for large AI models. The measure had drawn major opposition from startups and tech giants in Silicon Valley, as well as several Democrats in the House. Now, it would have required companies to test their AI models and disclose safety protocols to prevent them from being manipulated to do things such as wipe out the state's electric grid or help build chemical weapons. Newsom says the state will instead partner with industry experts to develop guardrails. And bachelor's degrees in science, tech, engineering, and math are the most valuable college majors. A new study from Bankrate ranks more than 150 majors based on average annual income, on unemployment rate, and the percentage of people with an advanced degree. Now, workers with STEM degrees have higher salaries and lower unemployment. Engineering degrees claim 8 of the top 10 spots, and the top 15 majors have average salaries ranging between $90,000 and $115,000 a year.
Yeah, not a surprise, but makes sense to have the numbers to back it up. All right, Savannah,
exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, you might have heard of the streaming platform Twitch. It was once really known as a platform to watch people play video games like Fortnite. But now there's a new genre on the site, political commentary.
That's right. This is how millions of Gen Zers and millennials are keeping up with the latest election news. NBC News Digital reporter Maya Adrian is here with more on one specific person on this site. Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, guys. So Hassan Piker's channel is called Hassan Abi, and he shared with me that a lot of his audience members are feeling frustrated right now with all the ups and downs of this political year, but they're still wanting to stay informed and keeping up with him in a non-traditional way. Take a look at some of our conversation.
Hassan Piker is not your typical political commentator.
Yeah, I am being patronizing. I don't know who the you are.
You might think of Twitch as a site for gamers, but now millions of people also watch streamers watching the news on the platform instead of traditional TV. And 70% of those users under the age of 35.
Hassan is the biggest political commentator on Twitch.
Hassan's channel, Hassan Abi, was the third most streamed channel globally on Twitch as of August 2024, drawing in over 114 million views and 2.7 million subscribers.
Hassan Abi, he kind of pioneered the space for the style of political coverage he does.
He provides commentary and answers questions live 8 hours a day, 7 days a week for newsy events like the last presidential debate.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there. Yeah! And this is what's happening.
So we spent a few days with Hassan to get his perspective on what Gen Z wants.
If politicians want to appeal to Gen Z, it's not about the memes and streams. It's just like communicate to them that they are worthy of attention and that their desires are valid and that you're actually going to do something.
With 10% of voters under 30 saying they won't be voting in November and 67% of them saying the country is going in the wrong direction, according to our NBC News Stay Tuned poll, both Dems and Republicans are looking for ways to draw this bloc to the voting booth.
A lot of young people, maybe first-time voters, were completely activated in a major way during Black Lives Matter. They were out in the streets, they were protesting, they did the activism, they did the voting, they voted for Joe Biden won, and then what happened? Nothing. Nothing changed in a significant way. It probably discourages a lot of people.
Twitch's audience is largely young men, a demographic that nationally is trending more conservative, according to a poll by Reuters. As streamers like Aiden Ross, who interviewed Donald Trump in August on Kick, appealed to this group.
And do you know what the hits are yet? Do you know?
Hassan is a prominent voice on the left and even streamed from this year's Democratic National Convention.
The way that people depict the left online in these spaces was cartoonish, hysterical, woke scold, like social justice warrior. And I felt like there was no one really representing just like a normal dude who just doesn't want to be an asshole to like random marginalized people, you know what I mean?
Where do you see your role fitting into that? Are you trying to engage the young viewers watching your stream? Are you trying to encourage them to vote?
I think voting is the least important, most consequential thing you can do. It's not the end all be all. I always stress people to vote, of course, but that's not like all these like get out to vote initiatives. They're silly. It's just, if you want to make people vote, you got to offer them something, either party.
Hassan says his goal is to entertain and educate young people while trying to limit the number of folks online from blindly believing misinformation and falling into hateful communities. And he said Twitch has moved on from just gamer bros.
There were a lot of diverse gamers from different backgrounds, but they were not necessarily being represented in terms of their politics. All these like center-right and centrist figures were basically leaning further and further in the right in their politics. Okay. If I can get 100 people to not go down that pipeline and instead be normal about trans people and stop breaking their own brains, like constantly thinking about trans people and what they're up to, then that's good. That's a success for me.
So, Maya, I'm wondering if you guys talked about any specific issues, like ones that really matter to young people this election and what Hassan says about them on his channel.
Yeah, so he mentioned that cost of living is obviously a huge concern for his audience. They say that they're really pessimistic about their financial future. That's something we've seen reflected in our own NBC News data, but also this Harvard Youth poll that was recently released. It said that majority of voters 18 to 29 support things like a cap on prescription drugs. 66% support eliminating taxes on tips. Healthcare, another big issue, with majority supporting a nationwide law to legalize abortion, and 55% supporting a $25,000 being given to first-time homebuyers. Savannah.
All right, Maya Eglin, thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, coming up, we're remembering a country music legend who also made his mark on the silver screen.
After the break, the life and legacy of Chris Christopherson and the tributes now pouring into a songwriter truly like no other. That's next. Stay with us. Welcome back. Tributes are being paid to singer, songwriter, and actor Chris Christopherson.
It is estimated more than 500 artists recorded songs written by Christopherson, an amazing talent with a career spanning decades through his 88 years of life. Singer, songwriter, and renowned actor Chris Christopherson was a country music legend whose career spanned more than 50 years. Freedom's just another word. Some of the biggest names in music, from Elvis Presley to the Grateful Dead, recorded his songs.
Me and my Bobby, yeah.
Janis Joplin's version of Me and Bobby McGee topped the charts in 1971. Christopherson also wrote the #1 country hit Sunday Morning Coming Down for his friend and mentor Johnny Cash.
Sunday morning coming down.
And the 1972 hit Help Me Make It Through the Night, covered by Sammy Smith and later Gladys Knight, became a #1 country and top 10 pop hit, earning Christopherson a Grammy. He spent much of the 1970s married to singer Rita Coolidge, with whom he won 2 more Grammys.
You can't quit. Watch me.
He wasn't just known for his music. Christopherson was also an accomplished actor, making his big screen debut in the 1971 film Cisco Pike. He later starred in Martin Scorsese's Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore.
Pack your bags. I'll take you to Monterey.
And in 1976 won a Golden Globe, starring opposite Barbra Streisand in the remake of A Star Is Born.
We're coming closer, lady. Don't you leave me now.
Christopherson discussed overcoming his own real-life battle with substance abuse here on Today.
I hope that by cleaning up my act, that I'll be more able to practice my art or my craft or whatever it is, and to do my work better.
Drug-free and sober, Christopherson later went on to star as Whistler in the Blade series.
They've been lying to us from day one.
In 2004, he was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame, giving his final musical appearance last year at the 90th birthday celebration for Willie Nelson. Family announced his death, saying in part, "We're all so blessed for our time with him. Thank you for loving him all these many years."
Oh.
And overnight, 2 legends who worked with Christopherson paid tribute. Barbra Streisand, remembering him as the perfect choice for A Star Is Born. Dolly Parton simply writing in part, "I will always love you." He was also part of The Highwaymen, which was this incredible foursome: Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson, and him.
Jeez.
Quite the legacy.
Oh, my goodness. Wow, what a great look back.
That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Don't go anywhere, though. The news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.